sex, evolutionary, hormonal, and neural bases. In other words, we're going to talk about reproduction. Don't worry, I'm not going to show you any pictures. I don't remember any pictures. Well, I guess we'll see in a minute. Okay. Okay, first thing we're going to talk about is how sex works. There's four stages of reproductive behavior. And this is for humans. This is actually for all mammals. So the first stage is sexual attraction. Most species, sexual attraction cannot take place until the female is ready to reproduce. This isn't true for humans, but it's true for cows and sheep and um, dogs and cats and any other mammal. This can be judged by whether males approach her and how rapidly they approach her. The closer she is to being ready to reproduce, the more rapidly that they will approach her. The female will show attraction to the male by whether she allows them to approach or not. In many mammalian species, a female will demonstrate her approachability through swelling in the vaginal area that is a different color and an odor regulated by a surge in estrogen. And of course, these are the pheromones that she's putting off and attracting males to approach her. Um, if you've ever been around cats or dogs, they'll come from miles away, which is kind of amazing if you think about it. In most species, intercourse is not possible without full female cooperation, and this is true of cats and dogs. And cows, the first time a heifer has intercourse, of course, sometimes it can do damage. Sometimes she doesn't get into the right position. If the animal has a tail, they have to move the tail over to the side. Stage two is known as appetitive behavior, behavior that establishes, maintains, or promotes sexual behavior. When a female is displaying this behavior, she may approach a male, she may stay close to the male, she may show alternating approach and retreat behavior. She may move in a specific manner that will result in the male mounting the female. This is known as proceptive behavior. Male appetitive behavior may consist of staying near and sniffing the female on a fairly frequent basis. So the first stage is the sexual attraction. The second stage is appetitive behavior. The third stage is actually copulation or coitus. Copulation begins when the male puts his penis in the female's vagina, an act known as intromission. Through rhythmic movements, the male will then squirt sperm-filled semen into the female's reproductive tract. After copulation, the two will go through a period when they will not be able to re-engage in intercourse, and this is known as the refractory phase. However, a male presented with another female may show a shorter refractory phase, and this is called the Coolidge effect. When a female is ready to copulate, she will be sexually receptive. The Coolidge effect is really kind of interesting. It's named after President Calvin Coolidge. He was a president in the 20s, and his nickname was Silent Cal because Calvin Coolidge didn't talk very much. And he was in he had visited a farm with his wife. He visited a farm in Iowa, actually. I think it was Iowa. Anyway, they had chickens, and the they were showing them around, and there was a rooster, and Mrs. Coolidge asked, "Well, how many?" How often does the rooster have intercourse in a day? And they said, well, he'll have intercourse any number between 10 and 15 times, depending on how many hens there are around. And she said, did you hear that, Cal? He can have sex 10 or 15 times a day. And Cal said, well, if I had if I had good-looking hens, more good-looking hens around, maybe I could do that too. And it was a joke. And of course, farmers didn't thought it was funny because they're always laughing about these things. Anyway, the story got out, and of course, that's why they call it the Coolidge effect. That's stage 3. Stage 4 is the post-copulatory behavior. This is different in most species. The males of all mammals, but primates, achieve and maintain their erections with a bone in their penis called an os penis, os meaning bone. Sometimes, as with dogs, the male is unable to remove themselves from the copulatory position for minutes after ejaculation because the bone gets twisted and he can't remove it. I don't know if I hope you've ever seen this. It seems to be quite painful for both the male and the female. The male has to just about get into the same position because what has to happen is the bone has to retract back into the dog's abdomen before he can remove his penis. He doesn't have an erection like primates do. Primates, of course, engorge with blood, and there's no bone involved. The whole purpose of copulation, of course, is the joining of the male and the female gametes, the ova in the female and the sperm in the male. If the two join, the ova will become fertilized and the union will become a zygote. While all mammals, birds, and most reptiles fertilize inside the body, internal fertilization, this is known as internal fertilization, fish and frogs fertilize outside the body, and that, of course, is known as external fertilization. If the species lays eggs outside the body, as birds and reptiles do, it is called oviparity, or egg birth. If the species allows a zygote to develop in the female's body, it is referred to as viviparity, or live birth. For most creatures, there is only one sexual position that they can be in for copulation to be possible. Since most mammals walk on all fours and have a tail, reproduction can only take place if the female raises her rump and moves her tail to the side. This will usually straighten her vagina adequately for penetration, and this is known as lordosis. And that this cat is in a position of lordosis, where she's moved her tail to her left, and she's elevating her rump so that the tomcat can perform intromission, and this is known as lordosis. For frogs to mate successfully, the male must mount the female. There is no penetration, but as the female emits her unfertilized eggs, the male must release his semen. If this does not take place in or over water, reproduction will not take place, and of course this is known as amplexus. And that's what the ova look like, and of course they've been covered in sperm, so they will all be fertilized. While sexual response is extremely complex, the female anatomy for intercourse is relatively simple. Two folds of skin cover and protect the vaginal opening, and these are the labia minora and the labia majora. Majora is on the outside, minora is on the inside. The female erectile tissue is the clitoris above the vaginal opening, and of course this is the clitoris here. That is similar to the male penis, as curious as that is, and as the female develops, the same structure that forms the penis will actually form the clitoris in the female. And we'll be talking about that in just a minute. Since male delivery of the gamete requires penetration, the male system is more complex than that of the female. And one of the interesting things about the human female is that in order to protect her vaginal area and her reproductive area, this is the uterus right here. This needs to be protected. This is very rich tissue. It's got lots of blood vessels around it. It would be very easy for a bacteria to invade. and uh, make itself at home in the reproductive area. And in order to protect the reproductive area, the female reproductive area is quite acidic, and uh, defeats most of the bacteria that might potentially cause an infection. And it's one of the reasons why women don't have very many urinary tract infections, and that is because of the acidity of the area. Now, in order for the male to neutralize the acidity, he needs a alkaline discharge, and that's what the semen has to do. The semen has to be uh, quite alkaline in order to neutralize the acidity of the female reproductive tract. Since male delivery of the gamete requires penetration, the male system is more complex than that of the female. That and the fact that it needs to be quite alkaline. So there are several structures that add to the alkalinity of the semen. Erection takes place due to an engorgement of blood. Semen is produced in the testes and stored in the epididymis. During ejaculation, the sperm travels up the vas deferens, past the seminal vesicle, prostate gland, and Cowper's gland, where it picks up a viscous alkaline fluid called semen. And in each of those structures, it adds to the alkalinity of the semen. Normally, the male is not erect because cells in the glands of the penis, the paragigantocellular nucleus, send serotonergic fibers down the spinal cord that inhibit erection. Otherwise, men would walk around with erect penises all the time. During sexual excitation, the forebrain inhibits the PGN and allows the penis to become erect. Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors increase serotonin in the brain and may not allow the inhibition of the PGN, and that's one of the reasons why SSRIs sometimes cause impotence in males. While there is no normal or typical when it comes to sexual response, too many social and psychological factors are involved. Women achieve vaginal lubrication during the excitement phase. Males have a smaller amount of lubricating exudate during erection to ease penetration. Males typically have one basic pattern of response, but they do pass through a refractory phase after orgasm when erection is difficult. Females, however, rarely have a refractory phase, thus multiple orgasms are possible, but have three typical patterns of response, and this is the female pattern of response, and as you can see, there are three of them, A, B, and C. One has a very sharp and prolonged orgasm. The other has a shorter orgasm period, and one has no orgasm at all. Really kind of interesting because a lot of this has to do with society telling you how you're supposed to react. But there was a book, the big O. They were talking about orgasm, and what they determined was a lot of women had never had orgasm because they didn't think they were supposed to, or if they had, they didn't want to talk about it because they thought they did something wrong. This is back in the 50s and 60s. And now, of course, this is not a taboo subject, and women are more likely to attempt to achieve orgasm, whereas in the past this was not something that they attempted to achieve or wanted to talk about, of course. But now that things have become more open about human sexuality, this is a more common topic. And as you can see, males, of course, it's just about one pattern, and the female has at least three patterns, and this is assuming, depending on a lot of different factors. One factor being how repressed sexually the individual is. In many situations in nature, the males and females of the species are very much different in size as well as structure. In most vertebrates, the male is larger because he must battle other males for the right to reproduce. And if you've ever seen a female dog in heat and have noticed how many male dogs there are around, you can see that having access to the female takes a bit of fighting for the male. Another definition of sexual dimorphism is that the male gamete is abundant, small, and cheap, while the female gamete is large, rare, and expensive. And so this is a point of fact of humans as well as other animals. The male can reproduce any number of times in a relatively short period of time, but the female can only reproduce once. As far as humans are concerned, once every 9 months. Well, it's actually longer than that, but potentially it's once every 9 months, whereas a male could reproduce, potentially, he could reproduce once or twice a day if he had access to that many different females. Because of the low cost of producing sperm, males can easily gather enough nutrients and energy to impregnate millions of women. Whether males are selective or not, the odds are that they will have some offspring that survive. Females, on the other hand, have to be more selective. And there's a reason why I have a picture of J-Lo, because J-Lo is married to Ben Affleck now, but I don't think they have any children. Females that carefully nurture their costly eggs are more likely to have offspring that survive to be the next generation. Thus, females must mate carefully. Males that carry many beneficial genes are more likely to provide the female's offspring with favorable genes. But how does a woman do this? And these are all the weddings that J-Lo has had and all the different husbands she's had, including Ben. Now she's married to Ben. The female must closely observe the appearance and behavior of the male. A vigorous, healthy male is more likely to carry good genes than an unhealthy one. Thus, courtship is a period when the female assesses the genetic makeup of a male to judge the suitability as a mate. And the reason I have J-Lo here is because she had so many different husbands. And now, of course, she's married to Ben. And for a while, she was dating A-Rod, Alex Rodriguez, the baseball player. And I haven't changed this thing around. He, of course, after she broke up with A-Rod, she married Ben. Okay, so she's dated a lot of different men, but these are all the men that she has been married to. These three plus Ben, I think. And she dated, one of the individuals she dated was the baseball star Alex Rodriguez. There are 4 mating strategies that are used in the animal kingdom to ensure offspring survival. Yeah, I need to go and change all that around. There are 4 mating strategies that are used in the animal kingdom to ensure offspring survival. The first is promiscuity. Females will mate with more than one male, or as many as they can, in any mating season. This will ensure that the male with the most attributes going for him is more likely to be the sire. And usually she will get impregnated by whoever has the most abundant sperm. Polygyny, also known as polygamy, is where the male maintains a harem of females that he will exclusively mate with. Most ungulates mate in this fashion, as do gorillas and elephant seals. This is also practiced among humans in many parts of the world. And this is a picture of a man. This is the man, and he has 4 wives. This is his new bride, and these 3 are his older brides, or brides from earlier, I guess. Polyandry is rarer than polygamy. but it still is known to occur. In polyandry, one woman mates with more than one man, but those men can only mate with a single female. This is practiced in Tibet. And in this case, she is the mother and the wife, and these are the two men that she is married to, and they're brothers. And of course, whether it really doesn't matter which one is the father of the children. All that matters is that because the genes belong to both individuals. Monogamy is the most prevalent mating method among humans. In monogamy, a pair will form a mating pair where exclusive access is maintained between both the male and the female. This seems to be the best manner in which a woman can gain resources from the male when he must provide for his children to ensure that they survive. Sexual selection takes place when the female selects the male that they wish to mate with. Sexual selection among birds is most garish of all creatures. In order to attract a female, a male will weigh themselves down with impossible structures such as the peacock's tail. And of course, the bigger the tail, the more likely that he will be able to reproduce with the peahen. Some species participate in intricate mating rituals during courtship that are not only garish but can call attention to themselves from predators. Almost all male birds have intricate songs that they sing in the spring during mating to attract a female. In some species, courting is extensive. Among large cats, only vigorous exercise over several days will bring the female to ovulation. And this is the way it is with cheetahs. A cheetah female will not ovulate unless she has been chased by a male cheetah for a number of days. And what will happen is a pair of brothers will chase the same female, and they'll take turns chasing her, so that she will she will start ovulating, and that's the way the cheetahs work. And then both of them will actually mate with her. And just like in the case of polyandry, it really doesn't matter which one of them is the father of the offspring, because they have very similar genes, if not identical genes. The Wadambi males of Niger trying to charm females with eye movements and makeup, and these are the Wadambi. I'm going to show you a film about the Wadambi right now. It's really fascinating.
This thing is my obsession. This is my little arrow garden. I mean, we're talking
look at all those tomatoes.
The men sing and sway to gain attention. They flutter their cheeks, cross and roll their eyes and grin. Whites of eyes and teeth are considered particularly beautiful. A man who can roll one eye and grin at the same time is considered especially desirable. The Garawal bring two different Wadobi lineages together, allowing each clan to propagate. Parents arrange first marriages at birth, and only cousins of the same lineage may marry. After that, they may seek a partner from another lineage. Mowe Ube works his charm on Maria Moore. It appears to be working. The young wife decides she will allow him to steal her from her husband.
I'm with a husband that I don't like, and when I saw More Ube, he was the best. He was better than any of the others, so that's why I agreed to marry him and go home with him.
A Wadabi woman can't be taken against her will, though what More Ube is about to do in the name of love can still have fatal consequences.
If they get caught en route, then the husband has the right to require her to come back. If she disagrees, doesn't want to go back, there can often be a fight, and it can be to the death.
More Ube must plan carefully to steal his new wife and not lose his life.
I go to see the girl, and I explain to her that I want her. And if she says that she wants me, then I look for her husband. If he doesn't see me, I sneak up on the ground. If she accepts, I say come and look around. If I hear somebody coming, I hide.
The moment of truth arrives. Under cover of darkness, More Ube heads toward Maria Moore's camp, not knowing if he will be greeted by her husband's sword.
The ideal is if she makes it all the way to the new husband's house without being caught, and then she has the full right to stay.
The new day will reveal whether More Ube's dangerous gamble pays off. The Wadabi are nomadic. They travel the desert and its fringes in extended family groups. This Garawal is an opportunity to mix between those groups and widen the gene pool for each clan. The men can have many wives, but when a Wadabi woman becomes pregnant, she will return to her mother's home, where she will remain for 3 or 4 years. During that time, she must not see or speak with her husband, and he is free to gather more wives. It is early morning, the day after the Garawal. More Ube returns from his quest. Last night, the game of love went his way. When he snuck into Maria Moore's camp, fate or good fortune were on his side. Her husband was not there.
There you go. There you go. True love. Can't argue with that. Okay, so those are the Wadabi, the most beautiful people in the world. At least that's what they think. That's how they think of themselves. Let's look at the Maasai. Maybe. There we go.
Watch where you're
The women will be attracted to the men that can jump the highest. Why are they jumping up? Because they are looking for predators. They maintain herds of cattle, and they have to keep their eyes open for predators. So the higher they can jump, the more likely they will see the predators. That headdress is a lion skin. Shows that he's actually killed a lion. There you go. And that's how the women choose their next husband. Okay, well, I thought maybe you'd want to see what Wadabi women look like. These are Wadabi women. And these are Maasai women. So as you can see, well, anyway, there you go. Sexual differentiation takes place among most humans while still in the womb. The sperm either carries a male or female chromosome. All ova are female. So if it was up to women, they would only have female children. Thus, males are the heterogametic sex because of the two different chromosomes, X or Y, while females are homogametic, or X. So the male sperm are either they're either male sperm or female sperm, but female ova are always female. So that's one of the reasons why males are XY and females are XX. Very early in the development, the gonads are not differentiated, and this is known as indifferent gonads. So you can't tell whether it's a boy or a girl, and eventually what will happen is they will differentiate. In the mammals, the Y chromosome contains an SRY gene that is responsible for the development of the testes. If the individual has a Y chromosome, the cells of the indifferent gonads begin making SRY protein. The SRY protein causes the core of the cells to proliferate over the outer layer of the cells, and the gonad becomes a testis. There you go. That's what males look like. That's what females look like, of course. If the individual has no Y chromosome, no SRY protein is produced, and the indifferent gonads form with the outer layer dominant and the inner core is inhibited, and they become a female, just like that. Well, maybe not just like that. I figured since we showed the strong male that we should show a strong female. As the fetus begins to form, they develop two ducts that connect the indifferent gonads to the cell wall, the Wolffian duct and the Mullerian duct. If bathed in testosterone from the testes, the Wolffian duct will develop. If not, the Mullerian duct will develop. So that's how it either becomes a male or a female. If SRY protein is released by the Y chromosome, the gonads become testes and bathe the area in testosterone. The Wolffian duct develops into the vas deferens, the epididymis, and the seminal vesicle. The Mullerian duct disappears. The genital tubercle becomes a penis, and the genital fold becomes a scrotum. If both the chromosomes are X's, the gonads become ovaries. The Mullerian duct develops into the fallopian tubes, the uterus, and the inner vagina. The Wolffian duct disappears. The genital tubercle becomes a clitoris, and the genital fold becomes the labia majora and minora. Now, as I told you before, the clitoris and the penis are very similar structures, and they come from the same source. Testosterone from the testes releases a hormone called anti-Mullerian hormone that shrinks the Mullerian duct. It causes tissue around the urethra to form the prostate gland. It causes epithelial tissue around the urethra to form a scrotum and penis. The epithelial cells have 5-alpha reductase, which converts testosterone to dihydrotestosterone, which allows masculinization. If the sperm or ova do not have a sex chromosome, the individual will have only one X chromosome. This individual has Turner syndrome and will be a female. They'll have short stature and not develop secondary sexual characteristics. And that's what happened to, I can't remember her name. Hunt is her last name. Anyway, she has Turner syndrome. That's why she's so short. And these are examples of, these are two sisters. This is a sister with Turner syndrome, and that's her older sister. And this is also a young lady with Turner syndrome, and that's her sister. If the female fetus is exposed to androgens in the uterus, she might develop congenital adrenal hyperplasia. The overactive adrenal glands will produce more androgen and cause genitalia that appears as either an undersized penis or an oversized clitoris. And that's the structure right here. And I've actually seen this. I had a neighbor whose baby had that. Since the androgen receptor is on the X chromosome, if an XY individual has a defective androgen receptor, they will not be sensitive to androgenic hormones. These individuals are referred to as androgen insensitive. These individuals will develop external female genitalia and develop all secondary female sexual characteristics except for menarche and have a shallow vagina. And these are individuals with that problem, androgen insensitivity. There are a group of males in the Dominican Republic whose 5-alpha reductase, which converts testosterone to dihydrotestosterone, which allows the penis and the scrotum to form, is mutated. Despite the fact that the individual has an XY chromosomal structure, the lack of 5-alpha reductase does not form a penis. The area that looks like a vagina has no vaginal opening. Because they do have testes with puberty, their bodies are bathed in testosterone, and their penis develops. Their hips narrow, and their build turns obviously masculine. And this is an individual with that problem at age 42. These individuals who were raised and acted like females suddenly begin looking and acting like males. Most will become males, and they're called guaivadoches, which means eggs at 12, because that's usually when their testes drop and they develop secondary male sexual characteristics. And there is an example. As you can see, this individual looks like a female, and all of a sudden at age 19, at age 19, the testes drop. This is a testes. That's his penis right there. But there's testes drop, and they develop secondary male sexual characteristics. This is an individual that, as you can see, she does have a penis, but she maintained her female structure, and she decided to become a female. And there's another one who decided to be a female, but she has male secondary sexual characteristics. And this is an individual that decided to become a male. Yeah, he did. He became a male. Anyway, that's it. A lot of strange things can happen. Most of us don't have to worry about that kind of stuff, as long as we don't live in the Dominican Republic. That is where the mutated gene seems to be. So there you go. I will talk to you next week.